What is up, PreMed Stars? Dr. Dale, the author of How to Raise a Doctor and the author of PreMed Mondays. And of course, you are listening to the PreMed Mondays Mentoring Podcast. Very excited about this week. We are going to be talking about 5 ways to maximize your group studying time. A lot of people don't think about this. You just show up and you go to your group study sessions. But today I'm going to tell you how to maximize that time. Check it out. Happy Monday, PreMed Star. Guess what? It is going to be another great week. So last week hopefully was great for you. This is going to be a great week too. So I got a lot of great feedback from last week's episode. And I got feedback from people who aren't even pre-meds, just people who listen to this podcast who might be doing, who are out in the workforce. And, I'm happy that episode really helped a lot of people. And I know it's an important topic. That's why in the episode, I focus so much on this idea that is the number one thing that keeps pre-meds from being successful is lack of belief in yourself, lack of confidence in your ability. And it all ties in together with this whole deal about imposter syndrome and confidence. And so lack of confidence keeps people down. So if you missed last week's episode, definitely go back and check it out. That might be one of the most important episodes we've done so far, and definitely one of the ones that have gotten the best feedback on. People sent me messages and people commented. I got stuff on LinkedIn, coming from all over the place. And it seems like that one really struck a chord with people. People felt that one, they could see it in themselves. And it makes sense because we all go through this period of our time where we struggle with belief. So if you missed that episode, please go back and listen to it. And I want you to start this week telling yourself, I believe I am going to do great things this week. That's how you should start this week. That's how you should start every week. Tell yourself, I believe I'm going to do great things this week. So I'm going to tell you now, I believe this podcast episode is going to touch people. That's why I do it, right? I have a lot of other things to do. Trust me, I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't think that this could help you guys. I'm not getting paid to make these podcasts, right? So I'm doing these because I think they can help you guys. So whenever you start off any week or any projects or any relationship, anything you start, tell yourself that you believe you can be successful at it, all right? Go into every week with that mindset, and I think you'll do better. I think you'll feel better. I think you'll be happier. So, all right, let's get this week started. And we're going to get this week started with a PreMed Mondays episode on 5 keys to maximize your group study time. I think back to when I was in college, and there were some study sessions that were just absolutely pointless, an absolute waste of my time, and probably a waste of the time of other people in the group too. You just go to these study sessions, and half the time you wouldn't even study. You'd be talking about whatever else. I remember when I was in med school, one of my buddies and I, we'd do group studying with just the 2 of us sometimes. And sometimes we just sit there, spend hours watching YouTube videos and not even studying, right? And then as it got closer to the test, we get more serious and we focus, and then we, knock it out the park. But, if you can figure out how to maximize your group studying time, that frees up a whole lot of other time for you to spend doing other things, whether it's shadowing, working, studying for other classes, or just having fun and relaxing. It frees up time. So maximizing group study time is key, right? Let's get into it for this week. So 5 tips. Here's number 1. Choose your group wisely. Choose your group wisely. So by now, you guys have heard 17 other episodes of PreMed Mondays, and you guys have heard the grind. You guys know my PreMed grind. You guys may or may not have read my books, but one thing you guys should understand about me is I am very, very big on networks. And I think that if you guys can figure out how to do this network thing in life properly, you'll be successful. And that starts in high school. That starts in college. So whenever you're choosing your study group wisely, that's part of how do I choose that's part of your network. How do I put the right people around me? That's all about networking. So choose your study group wisely. And here's the deal about that, right? So the people in your study group need to have your same goals. And I would challenge you that your goal for every class should be to get an A in that class. That's one goal. The other goal is you need to really focus on mastering the subject matter. But your goal should be to get an A in the class. With that in mind, the people you choose to be in your study group should have that same goal of trying to get an A in the class. If you're trying to get an A in the class and somebody else is just trying to get a C in the class, just trying to pass, right? Do you think you're really going to push you as hard as you want to be pushed to make sure you get the A? Do you think that individual is going to lift the study group up or bring the study group down? So be smart with who you put in your group. I understand that you've got a friend, you want your friends to study with you, but hey, it comes a point in life where if your friends aren't trying to do what's best for you, Then you have to ask yourself, how much of a friend are you? Right? And if your friend doesn't understand the reason why you can't study with them is because you need somebody who's going to push you, then ask yourself, hey, does this person really want what's best for me? Either that or does this person know what's best for me? Okay? I'm not telling you to break up friendships, but I'm just saying when it comes to your academic success and your vision to become a medical doctor, you need to make sure you have all the right pieces in the right places. And part of that is by choosing the right people to be in your study group, right? You want to be around people who have the same goal as you. You want to be around people who you just get along with. So you don't want to be in the study group and you're butting heads the whole time and you're arguing about some silly, trivial bit of information because one of you guys thinks the answer is this and somebody else thinks the answer is that. You want to be with people you can sit, study with, you can correct each other without anybody being offended, and you have a good time, but at the same time, you're completely focused on everybody going for an A, right? So number one, and that is the most important piece, is choose the right people. If you get that piece right, the rest of the pieces almost don't even matter, because if you have the right people in your group, they're going to help you do the other parts of the puzzle, right? But the idea is you still need to know the other parts of the puzzle. So let's go in there. The second one, limit your study group time. That sounds kind of funny, right? Limit your study group time. I'm not telling you to limit your study time. I'm saying limit your study group time. It's very easy to get in a study group with the right people. It could be the right people, but then you have no time limit. So you guys think you have all the time in the world. And before you know it, you've been sitting in that room for 3 hours and you've barely accomplished anything. If you go into a study session saying, all right, guys, we have 2 hours to accomplish X, Y, and Z, that 2 hours is going to be on your mind. You're going to be trying to make sure you get your work done. You're going to be trying to make sure you learn all the subject matter. So you need to limit your study group time. And that's the same with any meeting in reality, right? Most meetings you want to go in there with a set time, because if not, you'll sit in there forever and you just waste time and you look up and you're like, wow, what happened to the past 4 hours? So limit your study group time. You need to be cognizant of what you're doing during the study group so you all get the most out of it. Number 3, use your study group time as review. You want to use it as review time. Here's the deal. If people are showing up to study group time and trying to learn the information for the first time ever, this is the first time you've seen that bit of information, you're going to slow down everybody else who came prepared. Study group time is not time to be learning. It's time to be reviewing, time to be studying, time to be teaching each other. That's the purpose of meeting together in a group. So you need to make sure that you've looked over the material. I'm not saying you have to know everything 100% correct. You don't have to be an expert on every single topic you're studying. But the idea is you need to be familiar with that subject matter. So when you get there, a lot of the information you're going over is just review. And that ties into number 4. Use your study group time as an opportunity to test your knowledge. So because your study group time is review, you can spend your time teaching. So when you show up for a study group, you all should, and hopefully this isn't news to you guys. Hopefully somebody has told you guys this already. But when you all show up for your study group session, you guys need to take turns teaching each other, because one of the best ways to learn the material is to prepare to teach other people. And one of the best ways to know if you know the material is to teach other people. If you can't teach it to other people, then you probably don't know it as good as you should, or at least as good as you could. So use your study group time as an opportunity to get up there, stand up in front of the whiteboard or stand up in front of the smart board, whatever you're doing, and actually teach. Get the pen out. Don't just go through slides, but actually get the pen, get the marker out and draw it on the board. Make sure you understand the processes. Go through all the little itty bitty details. Answer questions. When people say, you know what, I don't quite understand the physics of this, the trajectory when it falls off the cliff, blah, blah, blah. You say, hey, let me show you the angles, and you get up there to the board and you start drawing everything out and you make sure you understand it. And by you going through the details and walking somebody else through it, you're proving to yourself that you understand it. And that's a key part of all this studying group. That's a very key part of study groups, right? All right. And finally, number 5 is have a study session plan. This kind of ties in with number 2, where I talked about limiting your study group time. But number 5 is to have a study session plan. And also it's like meetings. When you go into a meeting, you want to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you'll sit there, you will waste a lot of time, and not much will get done. Because you go in there and this person has his agenda, she has her agenda, you have your agenda. Everybody's going there with what they want. But nobody thought, hey, okay, what do we want together as a group? When we meet tonight for our study session, How can we make sure that everybody's getting what they want and what they need out of this session? And all that's about an agenda. You need to have an agenda before you show up. Have a list of things and say, all right, we're going to study 1, 2, 3, and that's it for tonight. We're going to make sure we knock these out, and this has to get done within a 3-hour time span. If you have that agenda, that plan, it makes everything so much easier to stay on track. And again, that's not even just for study groups. That's for anything you do in life. Anything you do in life. All right? So that's it. 5 simple ways to maximize your study group time. Don't take it for granted. And I would challenge you to go back and look at your study groups. Think about the most recent study groups you were in and ask yourself, which one of these things could we have done better? Were you as effective as you could have been? All right. So for this week's challenge, write down a plan for your next study group session. Which topic will each student be expected to teach? All right. So this week's challenge, think about your next study group session and actually write down a plan for it. Don't just show up with no plan. I want you to write down a plan for it and know what every student's going to be expected to teach. All right. So next week is going to be another great one. We're talking about 5 ways to maximize your classroom time. Nowadays, a lot of students are trying not to go to class, okay? But there's a lot to be gained from sitting your butt down in that chair and being in class, all right? So 5 ways to maximize your classroom time is what we're going to be talking about next week. Before I go real quick, I want to make sure I give a special shout out to Auburn Skakel. She's a first-year med student at Western Mish, Homer Stryker School of Medicine, and she did our webinar last week. Excellent webinar. Take your questions about how to transition from undergrad into medical school. And you guys remember, keep inviting your friends to PreMed Star. We're giving out these Kaplan MCAT courses. We got a few more we're going to give out before the end of the 2018 year, before we move into 2019, because we want the community to grow. We want you guys to grow and have resources and help each other and have a collaborative community is what we're about. Keep your eyes on the site. There's going to be a lot of cool changes coming up. You guys will see in the next few weeks. We are completely revamping a lot of stuff to make things better for you guys and more user-friendly. And also, if there's anything you guys want, just send me a message on PreMed Star. Anything you want, say, hey, Dr. Dale, I think it'd be really cool if PreMed Star had this. Send me a message and we'll see if we can make it happen for you. Because our goal is literally to help you guys accomplish your goal of getting into medical school. We spend a lot of time to make sure that happens, all right? So, with that said, remember to subscribe to this podcast. Remember to share this podcast. And I will see you guys next week. If you have any questions, send me a message on PreMedStar.com. Love you guys, and bye-bye.